Who the hell does he think he is? Breaking all the rules. Why, this guy's so far out of the box, he could be an alien. Oh, that's scary. Is he an alien? Is he a real wizard?
Yeah.
Of course he is, and this is the Harvey Wizard Show. So put your hands together for the 65-year-old badass himself, Harvey Wizard! And today may be the first of many daily podcasts with Don the Don in the White House. Don the Don is just one of many appropriate nicknames our first convicted felon and finger rapist president. Yeah, I have to specify finger rapist because that's what a jury found him responsible for. It's just that New York State doesn't consider finger rape rape, but every woman I've spoken to thinks it is. Well, with Don the Don in charge, there's a lot of sociopathic behavior that needs to be called out on a daily basis for history, if nobody else. This is the Harvey Wizard Show, the only podcast where I don't just go after the fascists, I drag them into the sunlight like the scuttling cockroaches they are. I'm your host, Harvey Wizard, a 2028 U.S. presidential candidate and the earliest presidential candidate to announce his candidacy in history 1,445 days in advance of the 2028 presidential election because I need some time to fight back against Trump and for you to help me. Well, today we're talking about Stephen Miller, Trump's pasty Rasputin, his dead-eyed Goebbels, his personal Renfield gnawing on the bones of broken families. Oh, it's okay, Stevie Miller. You went to Duke. You should know who all those people are. You should get the references. And today, we're not just talking about you. No, today we're talking about Stephen Miller's legacy, specifically his daughter, McKenzie Jay Miller, an innocent child who, through no fault of her own, is being raised by a man who's made a career out of terrorizing other people's children. Now, before you clutch your pearls, let's get one thing clear. This is not about attacking a kid. This is about the legacy Stephen Miller is leaving behind, the one McKenzie Jay Miller will inherit whether she wants to or not. Because while McKenzie Jay Miller sleeps soundly in a warm crib in a secure home somewhere in America, another child is crying in an ICE detention cell, wrapped in a foil blanket, wondering if they'll ever see their mother again. You don't think this is still going on? Oh, of course, they're just grabbing everybody, right? Because, well, McKenzie Jay Miller is nursed by a loving mother, but another child, the child Miller personally helped rip from their parents' arms, is learning that the U.S. government doesn't see them as fully human. Oh, yeah, baby. If I was a dog, I'd be going crazy. We got dog whistles coming out of everybody's mouth. Trump and all of his lackeys. But Stephen Miller has spent his entire life trying to make sure that children who don't look like him get all the suffering. And that's why today's episode is called McKenzie Jay Miller, Back to Bathing in Immigrant Tears. Because let's be real. Everything McKenzie enjoys, every toy, every meal, every family vacation is bought and paid for with the suffering of others because that's Stephen Renfield Miller's job. He's, the second level sociopath, whatever Trump tells him to do. In fact, Stephen Miller's greatest achievement, if we can call a crime against humanity an achievement, was the family separation policy, let's not forget. Ripping screaming children from their parents at the border, throwing them in cages, losing track of them, deporting their parents without them. Well, they're fixing it, so now we'll just deport the whole family. Yeah, even if they've lived here for 30 years, built a life for themselves. I just heard the press secretary of the United States make it very clear they're all criminals because they came in illegally. Yes, this is it's an administration that's clearly all about empathy. Yeah. And meanwhile, Stephen Miller, he doesn't just defend these policies. He keeps designing them. He's enjoying it. Just look at his face when he talks about getting rid of immigrants as if they were cockroaches. According to Trump officials, Miller called ICE agents complaining that not enough kids were being taken away fast enough. Yeah, that's how sociopaths think, And now McKenzie Jay Miller, daughter of the psychopath, safe, warm, and loved, gets to grow up in a house built in the bones of immigrant children because That's what blood money looks like. And what about Katie Miller, Stephen's loyal Nazi Barbie? She's the one who proudly posted McKenzie's birth photos on Instagram as if her family isn't built on the destruction of other families. Katie Miller, who, by the way, once laughed at the idea of immigrants suffering in cages, expects sympathy and celebration for her own child's birth. Oh, and she used to be Mike Pence's press secretary, so you already know her soul is held together with hairspray and taxpayer-funded hypocrisy. Well, I know what some of you are thinking. Harvey, this is too harsh. A kid can't control who their parents are, and that's exactly my point. The children Miller terrorized didn't choose their fate either. They didn't choose to be born into poverty, war zones, or cartel violence. They didn't choose to be locked in cages, to cry themselves to sleep on concrete floors, to be denied soap blankets or even a hug from their own parents. But Stephen Miller did choose that for them. Yeah, he's happy to be the villain in the story. You check this guy out. He's been full of hate and sociopathy since he was about 10. That's when he started this crap, to the embarrassment of his Jewish parents. I mean, McKenzie Jay is after the Jewish immigrant who came to this country, and all of that, I guess, is forgotten. A couple of generations is all it takes to wash yourself of empathy and become a piece of crap. Yeah, Stephen Renfield Miller. Now ask yourself this, do we remember about the people who hid Anne Frank in their attic? Remember them? And we called them heroes. And now, yeah, you can get arrested for doing that, right? No more sanctuary. We're just going to come and drag you out. And if you're not an immigrant, we'll figure that out later. But if you are brown, it's easy to mistake you, you know? And that's the legacy McKenzie Jay Miller will one day have to reckon with. Because someday she'll Google her father's name and see this in many other videos. She'll see his mugshot in the pages of history next to the names of every other coward and fascist who ever built a career on cruelty. And she'll have to decide what to do with that knowledge. So to all my listeners, I leave you with the question, what are you going to do? Because fascists like Stephen Miller are counting you to forget. They're counting on you to move on. And that's why I encourage you to go to wizard2028.com, where I will actually pay you $200,000 or more. It's the world's best affiliate program. We can talk about it. Wizard2028.com. Help us take a stand against this kind of fascism and cruelty and all the horror that Trump has planned for all of the marginalized in our society. Why don't we do that? So share this episode. Let's talk about Stephen Renfield Miller. Let's remember to list his crimes so we all know, and never let these people rewrite their own legacies.
Yeah.
Well, that's all for now, folks. I like to sometimes hark back to Jerry Springer and remind you, take care of yourself and each other.